The augmented reality app Pokémon Go has been on the market for not so long and has already changed the world. Suddenly, the biggest couch potatoes go out for hour-long walks and browse the arenas and Pokestops of the area. This is where some very interesting encounters have taken place. We'll show you the 5 craziest of them today. Number 5 was one of the first stories that circulated the internet after the US release. A white man, mid-40s, set out on a walk in the moonlight at 3 a.m. to catch some monsters. He went to a nearby park with some Pokestops when suddenly he was surprised by 2 young, colored guys. However, against all stereotypes, he wasn't mugged nor did they try to sell him drugs. No, they just wanted to point out the nearby Onyx to him. The cops who showed up shortly after couldn't quite believe this either, but were quickly convinced and downloaded the game themselves. Number 4 is about this Squirtle at quite an unusual place, North Iraq, right in front of the brutal killers of ISIS. A 26-year-old US soldier downloaded the game shortly before marching out. He's in a conflict similar to the First World War, sitting, waiting, fighting, waiting, sitting, fighting. A few Pidgeys definitely help to lift his spirits in the trench. A Squirtle, though, is even better. In the city that the soldiers live in, 20 kilometers from the front, life takes its typical course, and he can have as much fun in the few arenas and Pokestops as he can anywhere else in the world. Shame that the war against ISIS can't just take place on a Pokemon arena. And number 3, Boone Sheridan, a designer in Massachusetts. He moved into a bit of a peculiar house with his family last year, a former church from the 19th century. When he downloaded the Pokemon Go app, he discovered something strange, an arena in his house. Teenagers and students visited him day and night. He even met the arena leader of his home. So far, you can't remove any arenas, so he, his family, and his neighbors have to live with the visits from Smombies around the clock. He does have a sense of humor about it, even though he hasn't managed to take the arena for himself yet. Number 2 isn't exactly a positive story. It has been in the media everywhere, only 2 days after the release. A Pokemon player from Wyoming wanted to find out if the spawns at the little monsters really have something to do with the real Biomen. So she jumped over a fence at a river and took a look around. The thing swimming towards her wasn't a Magikarp or a Squirtle, it was a corpse. Surely the relatives of the dead person were lucky that the body was found, but it was a terrifying reminder that the world out there doesn't just consist of virtual fights and conflicts. And the number 1 craziest encounter in Pokemon Go took place in, you guessed it, the US. A group of young men used the so-called lock model, which attracts more Pokemon to Pokestops in 30 minutes in a more efficient way. Not only virtual monsters follow the pink flower petals, humans do too. This way, 9 players were robbed by these guys until they were caught. Luckily, more and more police officers play the game and can check out the lock models whilst on duty, on and offline. Still, you should always be careful. A dodgy area won't be less dodgy thanks to a wild Charizard or a few lock modals. I've got to go reconquer the arena for Team Yellow now. We'll see you next time. Stay well. Bye.